For the first 15 years of the epidemic, it was kind of like being the first responder at a train wreck. And it was very traumatic. It was an awful thing.
There was no approach to preventing infection, and there was no treatment for someone who had HIV infections.
Those patients that could not actually come to the facility, we went to them. That's what we were looking at during that time. It was horrible.
Can't tell you about the countless young men who were my patients who died of AIDS before effective therapy was developed.
So it has come a long way since the beginning of the epidemic.
But I heard a rumor. I want you to confirm it. Did your big baker as well? Yes. Did you take guys and bring them to the audition?
Hi, how are you?
Good, and yourself?
Great. Have a seat, Marcos, so we can talk a few minutes.
My name is Rochelle Rawls. I am a physician assistant at the Rand Schrader Clinic, and I've been here for the last 23 years. My specialty here is infectious disease, HIV and AIDS care. And I am usually the first person on a new patient visit that the patient sees. And so I let them know, today, this is not a death sentence. So tell me about you and why you're here, and just give me some idea of who Marco really is.
I'm 28 years old.
Okay.
I'm with somebody, been with that person for almost 4 years.
Okay.
That person got diagnosed with HIV, and he didn't tell me,
Okay.
which is why I'm here.
Have you had any symptoms that might be suggestive that you might be positive, like a cold that you couldn't get rid of, any type of rash on your skin, night sweats or chills, none of that?
None of that.
Okay. If you're having unprotected sex, not only HIV is what you could possibly have contracted. I want to do some series of tests on you just to see, number one, we're going to check you for syphilis. We're going to check you for gonorrhea and for chlamydia. After we get all those tests back, which will be in about a week, I'm going to sit down with you and I'm going to go over every test. And we're going to talk about it. If you are negative, you will start PrEP if that's something you decide to do.
Okay.
And let's see what happens. I'm interested and I'm curious to see where you're going. Because not where you're going is going to be so much better than where you are right now. You're in a dark place, but fortunately you're here now.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So it's, like I said, it's a good day, right?
I feel like it is.
Yeah.
Like something told me to come.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to. I was determined to be here.
Yeah.
Same here. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. We're here not to cure it, because there is no cure, but to start healing a process that not only starts on the cellular level, but starts in the heart, that starts in emotions and wounds that have been open in your life for years.
When I got here yesterday, I was like shaking. I was so scared. I didn't want to come inside. I wanted to go home. But after talking to her, I felt better. I'm not even nervous at all.
All the way up?
She made me feel so at ease.
When the test first came out in 1985, there were many people who declined to take the test because there was nothing to do about it.
But now you've had the opportunity to be diagnosed, treated, and to live.
There are younger patients with HIV on medication who never experienced the complications that those older patients did. And more recently, we see lots of young men who are HIV negative and looking to protect themselves with PrEP.
Today I'm here to pick up my PrEP prescription.
Have a seat right here.
HIV is common among gay men. And so ever since like I started having sex, I was always really scared that I would get HIV. Vamos a ser famosos.
So PrEP is pre-exposure prophylaxis. In other words, a person who's HIV negative, taking a tablet every day, hopefully using condoms as well, to prevent acquiring HIV.
Robert, he's very educated about the disease process. Most of the patients don't come in with as much information or questions.
I think being on PrEP like it helped me not freak out because like I know that I have a lot of protection against it because I'm taking this pill daily. So that's why I do it.
Hi, Robert. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Come in, have a seat, and let's talk about Truvada. This is your prescription, and it's Truvada, 1 pill daily. You have 30 pills. It's imperative that you take the medication daily. And I always tell patients, if you take it at the same time every day, it's more of an assurance that you'll be compliant versus taking the medication sporadically. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And make sure you hydrate, drink a lot of fluids.
Okay.
Okay, because it can have a negative effect on your kidneys.
Okay.
All right? Do you have any questions?
No.
All right. Charge you for the
At this point in time, there's only one medication on the market for PrEP, and that's something called Truvada, that consists of 2 antiviral drugs in a single tablet.
If the Truvada is present at a sufficient level, it is effective in blocking the replication of the virus. HIV contains critical components known as enzymes that carry out the chemical reactions that are required for the viral infection to occur. Reverse transcriptase, for example, carries out the copying of the viral RNA into a double-stranded DNA form. So Truvada is a fixed-dose combination of 2 reverse transcriptase inhibitors that are known as nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitors. The components of Truvada mimic the normal DNA building blocks, but once they're incorporated, they block further extension of the DNA chain.
So this is one of the most amazing chapters in the history of medicine, certainly in the recent history of medicine, where we went from finding a disease that was unknown to understanding that it was caused by a virus, to understanding the molecular mechanisms by which the virus damages the immune system, and then the amazing process of drug discovery that led to an effective therapy, all within 15 years of the discovery of the disease itself.
How did you feel about taking the medicine?
I get really, really nervous when I have sex with someone. So that's why like being on PrEP, it helped me. I didn't get as nervous.
So you said a couple of days ago you ran out of meds.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had sex?
No.
Okay, good. Now those times in which you did have sex, did you use condoms?
No.
Okay. So tell me, what was your mindset in regards to that? Did you guys discuss the process of maybe not using, or?
I mean, we're both on PrEP, and I felt pretty safe doing it with him, so.
Okay. I always tell patients that regardless to whether or not you're on PrEP, he's on PrEP, he's on HIV medicine, you're on PrEP, whatever, you need to use condoms. Because you're not just dealing with HIV and AIDS, you're also dealing with other STDs. Now, the one thing that I would say to you, you may need to think about using condoms as an option versus the medications. I know you just explained to me about that fear that you had several years ago in regards to having unprotected sex, and you didn't know whether you were positive or not. But you still, the recommendation is to use condoms for that double assurance, okay?
Yeah.
I think you're doing fabulous. I just want you to make sure you take it daily, okay?
Mm-hmm. I think Rochelle is great because she's not like judgmental or anything about like being gay. Like I think some doctors, you kind of feel afraid to talk to them because like you feel like they're judging you and they're judging your sexual like behavior, and I don't think that she does that, so that's what makes her awesome.
All right, I actually have a bag of condoms for you. So just in the event, you have your condoms available.
Okay.
Thank you. right. Have a good one.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye. We've lost in medicine connection, and we've lost conversation because we're so busy getting numbers out. I got 20 minutes to see X amount of people, and if I can do it in 10, that's even better. But we've lost that connection. Hi, Marcos. How are you?
Good, and yourself?
Oh, beautiful. Thanks so much for coming back today. I just wanted to go over your lab results and just confirm the fact that you are a candidate for PrEP because your HIV test is negative. So that's great news, huh?
Definitely, thank you.
Yeah, that's great news. So the literature indicates that there is a 99% coverage or a chance that you will not get HIV as long as you take the Truvada every day. But I also say, as well as use a condom, because we want to prevent all STDs, not just you getting HIV. Make sense?
Correct, yes.
I'm going to examine you real quick. And then you're going to get your prescription and you will have graduated to the PrEP team.
The way she treats people and she talks to them, it makes you feel even better, you know what I mean? You know, when I was coming, I was like, whatever happens, happens. I have her support.
Could you put that on top of that for me?
I remember the first time I met her, she was just telling me about like all the people who she's seen like affected by like HIV, and she just seems like she cares a lot about what she does.
I'm not looking at my computer. I'm not typing. That amazes them that you actually listened to what they were saying and you've connected. When you start talking about the things that are important to them and you connect and you're able to reference that when times get a little tough, you win as a provider.
Well, I've been fortunate in being in the field long enough to see things get better. You know, from a time that the dark ages when people died daily. And I remember people back then who so very much wanted to survive. I used to say that my wish was to grow gray with my patients. And amazingly, that wish came true.
So I would say to a medical student that's possibly interested in going into HIV and AIDS is that you will never be sorry for the decision you make because it will be life-changing more so for you than for the patient.